Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the fastest moving hour and 15-minute podcast on the wrestling universe. My name is Johnny Bottles, and some people say I'm ignorant but accurate. I know my wife does, Mrs. Bottles. To my left is Dr. Don Wayne, the neckbeard psychologist. You know him, you love him from Twitter. Fighting with those hirsute, hairy, smelly, orange-fingered neckbeards dwelling in their basement, who haven't seen the light of day in weeks and weeks. Probably they haven't seen the light of day since the last 5 years, since the beginning of AEW Dynamite. What do you think, Don? It was an action-packed, news-packed week. There's a lot, just in this past weekend alone, there's a lot of news that broke. Just yesterday, Don, a lot of nuggets of news. People coming, people going. And that wasn't at a Diddy party. That was in the world of professional wrestling.
I guess I want to start by saying thanks for joining us tonight. Please like and subscribe. We got a lot to talk about today. I don't want to get into SmackDown too much. We'll talk about it some. I do want to talk a lot about Raw. There's a lot of news going on right now in the world of professional wrestling. And the neckbeards have come unglued because, and I guess we should probably lead off with this because it hit the airwaves yesterday and it caught everybody off guard. Samantha Irvin is no longer employed with the WWE. She apparently decided months ago that it was time for her relationship to end. She was going to go find a new endeavor. She was going to go find another walk of life, or step back and maybe take another road, less travel. Mm-hmm. I wish her all the best. I hope she does well. But there were two sides to this. By the way, thank you all for watching. Thank you all for appreciating the show. Please like and subscribe. We appreciate you. Super Chat is open if you want to talk about Samantha, because believe it or not, and this sort of caught me off guard, I have not watched wrestling until recently. I had been turned off by the product. We have talked about this. I did not start watching the WWE routinely, I would say, until about a year and a half ago, maybe. Right around the time Cody Rhodes came back, I said, well, let me check this out. If Cody's coming back, maybe something's going to change, and it has for the better. I think there's no way to admit it, whether you like Cody Rhodes or not. The product overall began making a humongous turn once he came back to the product. Agreed?
Agreed. And also once Vince left.
Well, they all sort of coincided to each other.
It was a magnificent confluence of events. They all came together, Don. Beautifully. Sherry, hit the switch.
Magic window time, baby. So I've sort of, I didn't realize Samantha Irvin hadn't been there very long. She's only been there for 3 years, it turns out. I thought she must have been the new face of the company. I thought she must have been the new ring girl for some time. 3 years is not a long time. It really isn't. It's a blink of an eye in terms of the wrestling world. The Fink was there forever. If people remember the Fink, he was the 80s ring announcer into the 90s. Then they got a couple other guys. Lillian Garcia took the mantle during the Raw era and really ran with that. And it appears she's back now. We're going to get into that a little bit later, but the neckbeards on both sides of the fence, just because you're a neckbeard doesn't mean you're an AEW fan. Let's clarify that now. But the WWE neckbeards lost their mind and immediately began attacking her because they were so convinced she was jumping ship. She came out and said, I'm out of the wrestling business now. This has nothing to do with WWE. She apparently wants to pursue a singing career that she's very much involved with.
Yes.
She wants to get that up and running. I know I've seen her sing a couple of national anthems at football games. So she's clearly got a voice that people want to hear. I'm not saying she's going to be some huge star, but there's a clamoring for it in some places.
She even was on America's Got Talent. A lot of people don't realize that, where she sang and played the flute on America's Got Talent. She is an accomplished flautist, I believe the word is for a flute player. Flautist. Flautist. I've been reading again. And she's got I believe, an 8-year-old daughter. She's a single mother. Her mother was a musician. She shepherded her musical career. Gave her pointers for singing, took her to singing lessons, classes. Her mother was behind her and was the impetus behind her career 100%. Unfortunately, her mother, before Samantha became big, her mother committed suicide because she was struggling with clinical depression her entire life.
Oh, I didn't know that.
And I believe her mother was a single mother raising her. So Samantha is pretty used to that dynamic But then she met Trevor Mann, who we all know as Ricochet, in the WWE. It was a match made in heaven. They get along famously. They're engaged. She's even referred to him on Twitter as her husband, even though they're not married yet. But they might as well be. I believe they live together, cohabitate, the whole nine yards, whatever you want to call it. And that would leave a lot of people to believe that she's going to AEW, Don. But we talked about that. We even disagreed. You said nah. I said yeah. If she's working on a singing career, and she's not traveling like she was with WWE, traveling the freaking world, going to all these exotic locales around the world, it's kind of hard trying to raise a child that way. And now she's going to be home more, working on her singing career, maybe acting, who knows? Maybe being in musicals on Broadway or what have you. I don't know. I can't envision it. I'm not going to speculate. But if a madman like Tony Khan said, I'll pay you $250,000 a year to be the new ring announcer. You'll bring a fresh voice to the product. You'll jazz it up. And you'll just appear once a week. You'll work one day a week with your boyfriend, fiance, husband, whatever you want to call him. And you'll do AEW Dynamite and whatever show we record before or after. You'll be the ring announcer for that. And I look forward to her saying, freshly squeezed Cassidy!
No. Okay, we're going to really disagree here because she's done with the wrestling business. She's done. She came out and said she's done. She has no interest in pursuing a wrestling career. She has no interest in pursuing anything in wrestling. If
the
she
only one
comes
done.
back
The only one
anywhere,
done is Kevin Dunn. He's done.
Okay. If she decides to come back, it will be with the WWE because they pay her well. They treat her well. She's well respected there. I have no doubt in my mind that she is truly done with the wrestling business. And
Yes.
just so we clarify what a neckbeard is, a neckbeard is the type of guy that he's, how do I put it? He doesn't keep himself kept. He lives in his mom's basement. He lives on Twitter 24/7, and all he does,
Yes.
he or she does, because they can both have beards, is lives to just hate on wrestlers that aren't part of their favorite company. If you're on this company, I can no longer like you. If you're on that
That's
company, I can no longer like you. If you're leaving my favorite company, I now hate you. I hate you. And some of the shit these people were saying yesterday online towards her, man, was just the most cringeworthy stuff I've ever seen in my life. Just the most, just awful, vile human beings. I can't even call them human beings. They're just disgusting pigs that need to get laid. As CM Punk famously once put out there on Instagram, go touch grass. There's more to life than wrestling. We do this for fun. We don't live and die by what these guys are doing. I got real shit going on in this world. I wish her the best of luck. Even if she goes to AEW, I wish her the best of luck. If she felt like this was the best career path for her, because let's face it, Bottle, she was only working 1 or 2 days a week, depending on the pay-per-view schedule. She wasn't on SmackDown. They had another girl doing that.
She was doing house shows.
The few that they have.
The few that they have. And she, a crucial part of this whole story, Don, she was not a contracted employee. She was a salaried employee that they just hired. No contract involved. You could just give 2 or 3 weeks notice, maybe a month's notice, like she did. And she's out the door.
Months.
Well, yeah, and they all knew she was leaving. Why do you think it was strange that Lillian Garcia showed up at that? Was that a PLE? Did we arrive at the fact?
I think, yes, she was there a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, she was at a PLE, Lillian was, and introduced somebody, and everyone gave her a big hand, and it was like, oh, she's passing the torch to Samantha. She's been gone for 8 years, but she's passing the torch to Samantha. Little did we realize Samantha was passing the torch to Lillian. But I heard today, just a few hours ago, the rumor, I'm not going to say rumor and innuendo, I'll say speculation and conjecture is Lillian is only a temporary stopgap.
Yes.
They're looking for a permanent ring announcer.
That is my understanding as well. They want to get somebody that's a well-known commodity, perhaps somebody not in wrestling, maybe
Bruce
somebody
Buffer.
from the fight world. Not Bruce Buffer. God knows that guy's 80-something years old. He can barely get the words out now.
You're talking about Michael Buffer. There's
Michael
Bruce
Buffer, excuse me. That's
Bruce
the
Buffer's
Showtime jackass, right?
I think so, yes.
Yeah, I don't want no
wouldn't call
part
him
of
a
that
jackass
either. No one likes that guy either. No one. That's why Conor McGregor threatened to kick the shit out of him at a show one time because he's such a douche canoe. Screw that guy. It's showtime. Get the hell out of here with that whack-ass comment. That's horrible. That's the worst intro to boxing ever. It's showtime. It sounds like a pervert's call to the women. That's what that sounds like.
If you keep holding in all this hatred, you're just going to explode. Let it all out, Don. Don't hold back. Don't hold in your feelings. Let it all out.
I heard a peeping Tom scream that once looking through windows. It's showtime. Jesus, get away from me. Anyway, I don't think that's going to happen. The other big news that was coming out this week is SmackDown continues to not do well with this move. The show hasn't been particularly strong. They're relying everything on the bloodline. And I don't know how else to say it. It's just not entertaining me right now. I didn't even watch this weekend. I read the highlights to see if I would like it. And then I watched the highlights. The highlights of this show was the bloodline, as it turned out, but they were kicking the shit out of Roman Reigns. And here's sort of where I put that on, which, by the way, they did like what, 1.37 million or something like that. I want to say
something like that. The same sweet spot they've been in for the past couple of weeks. Yeah. It's not going to grow until probably right before Survivor Series, when they're going to ramp up with The Rock and Bloodline versus Bloodline. They're slowly building it now. Oh, anything you really missed from SmackDown if you didn't watch it was Nia Jax, Candice LeRae. Tag team versus Bayley and Naomi. Bayley actually ate a pin by Candice LeRae, the Poison Pixie, as she's known. And then the feud that will never end, Andrade versus the Charisma Vacuum, Carmelo Hayes. Carmelo Hayes. That guy. I'm just going to call him that guy from now on. He was the worst part of the Carmelo Hayes, Trick Williams pairing. Who would have thought that the hype man is a bigger star than Carmelo Hayes now? But anyway,
I would. You could look at them and see it. The size is so preposterous when you look at them next to each other.
Right. But Carmelo Hayes had the ring acumen, Don. He had the wrestling ability. He just can't speak, I guess. He could talk and cut promos in NXT. When he brought him up to the main roster, he's a mumble mouth ignoramus. I don't know. And he's wrestling another marble mouth guy, Andrade. I gotta get an English Spanish dictionary just to see what he's talking about.
Careful.
What?
Careful. Carlito's already in trouble with the neckbeards.
No habla inglés. No habla inglés. No habla español. But anyway,
I just want to talk about that. They've got to fix SmackDown. They've got to do something to reinvigorate.
They've got to.
And you want to know?
They need The Rock. They need Heyman. When you see Paul Heyman come back, the ratings will go up. You see Jey Uso back on SmackDown, the ratings will go up. And that's going to happen soon. We'll talk about that later.
Can I give you my quick 2 cents on why also it's sucking right now?
Go ahead.
Cody Rhodes is involved in the most meaningless belt match in the history of ever. This entire crown jewel belt thing is just a complete waste of time for everybody involved. He's going to fight Gunther for a belt that means nothing, that neither of them will ever wear. That's just, they're putting it out there because they're getting paid $1 gazillion to have this match in Saudi Arabia.
Right.
That's the only reason that they're doing
$50 million for that show.
None of it might as well be $1 gazillion because I'll never see that kind of money. But again, it doesn't matter.
Bring back the Andre the Giant. Well, he's been dead for years, sir. Bring back the Ultimate Warrior. Well, he's been dead for years too, sir. We got an idea for you. What is that, HHH? How about we have all the champs fight each other? Oh, perfect. Bring back the Hulk Hogan. Have him come and face our countryman, the Iron Sheik. Well, Iron Sheik's passed away, sir. He's been dead for years, and Hulk Hogan's career's dead. His back is pretty much shot, and I really don't think it would go over too well over if you brought Hulk Hogan in.
Let me ask you something. Because it's all over the Twitter machines now. The Jacob Fatu had a dark match against Cody Rhodes.
I got clips of it if you want to see it.
Let's talk about it for a minute because it's nothing really to see, to be quite honest. I mean, Cody wins in the middle of the ring, 1, 2, 3.
Fatu did the job on a house show dark match. Well, not a house show dark match, a SmackDown taping dark match. Or was it Raw? It was Raw.
It was one of the two. Does it matter?
It was Raw from last night.
My question. Yeah. Does it matter?
No, if it wasn't on TV, it doesn't matter.
Why do people get so upset? Here's my thing on why they had it.
Jacob Fatu lost. You just got a star. And now he's jobbing out to Cody Rhodes?
You've got to get him in ring work in the WWE, right? He's not wrestling every night. He's not on TV every night. If you're going to put him out there with somebody, make it be one of the biggest stars that you have. You can't have him touch Roman Reigns yet. This is the closest you can get to giving him that rub to say he is a main event contender without putting him in a bloodline feud. Because let's face it, if you like Cody Rhodes or not, he's going to give you a match every time you see it. He's going to give you a good match. You're not going to feel horrible about it. You're not going to be embarrassed by his match. It's a rub for him as well. Yes, he lost, but he felt enough to where I'll give you a match because I think you're worthy of a contendership.
Right.
So that's sort of where I felt that way.
This was the first, the Jacob Fatu thing was the first singles match that Jacob wrestled. He hasn't wrestled any singles matches since he's been there. Interference, run-ins, like he did on Raw, and tag matches, of course, with his brethren in the bloodline.
Again, Super Chat's open. You got something you want to ask? You got something you want to talk about? Let us know. We'll talk about it. I just want to get that out of the way. I just felt like SmackDown the last several weeks, it's not feeling very oozy.
No, it's not. No, it's not.
So I wanted to cover over that real quick because on the other channel, on the other wrestling show presented to us by the WWE major networks, Raw was on.
Yes, Raw was on. Controversial Raw in certain spots.
Very controversial. By the way, thank you all for watching the show tonight. Please like and subscribe. Hit that notifications button. Hit the ring-a-ling on the ding-a-ling. We're going to keep this show rolling. By the way, the viewership's in right now on Raw. Did you see it?
1578.
1578 against Monday Night Football. And here's the bigger number.
1,578,000 people watched Raw. And that is way above what the Vince era has done. The Vince era, I think it got below 1 million at one point in time.
A couple times, yeah.
Yeah. Against Monday Night Football.
This was against not one, but two Monday Night Football games.
Do you know what we didn't talk about on SmackDown?
Go ahead and tell me.
The debut of the Motor City Machine Guns, Chris Sabin and Alex Shelley, guys from TNA, who they got the offer after 20 years in the business. They got the deal of a lifetime, a place where they always wanted to be, the big leagues, the WWE. They got a premier presentation, and they showed everybody what they can do. And these guys aren't spring chickens. They've been around for 20 years. And still wrestling at a high level from what I can see. Go ahead, Don. Let's go back to Raw. I don't want to glance over that, but I saw them wrestle 20 years ago when they were in TNA. It's one of those deals where, like, when AJ Styles showed up, I was like, well, it's about friggin' time. Where the hell you been this whole time? What the hell took you so long to figure out where you should be wrestling? Why did it take this long? So that's sort of what I thought about that. I didn't dislike what I saw in the highlights, but I've seen their matches before, right? Like, it's one of those deals. It's if you don't watch other wrestling, then yes, this is a big deal if you haven't seen them wrestle before. I've seen them wrestle before. So it's kind of like beer money. Beer money missed their window to come to WWE. I thought that was one of the greatest gimmicks in the history of wrestling tag teams. I love beer money. Well, James Storm didn't want to come. He didn't want that $80,000 a year paycheck from NXT. He was making more in TNA, allegedly. Bobby Roode said, "I'll take it. I'll go to NXT. I'll care.
I need a job for life, and now I'm a coach backstage or some such shit. So good for him."
Yeah, he's a producer backstage. Bobby Roode.
Yes. Back to the Raw. 1.578 million. 0.51 in the demo. Why is that important, Johnny Bottles? I'll tell you why. Because Monday Night Football didn't have one. They had two games going last night.
Right.
They had an 8:15 kickoff and then like a 9:05 kickoff. I am super impressed with the numbers that they did on this. I really am. They were actually up from last week on the people that watched it by a few percent. They were up by like 0.7 or 0.8 on the demo. I can't remember. It was something insane. So I thought that was pretty cool.
Yes. And the demo drives advertising dollars for the good old USA Network while they still have a deal with USA.
They
imagine what it's going to be. Imagine what it's going to be on Netflix with the ads. And the demos really aren't that important, I think, on streaming as they are for network television.
I will be curious how that works. Right? Like I'll be curious because they judge it by streamed hours. That's how they do all that stuff.
Yes,
so I'll be curious how that works.
They still haven't decided how long the show's going to be. They're still kicking that around. They don't know if it's going to be 3 hours, 2 hours, or have a floating time window between 2 and 3 hours. Because they don't have to worry about Silk Stalkies coming on after it. Or that Bar Games show with Blake Shelton. Or what's that guy's name who went to jail? Leave it to whatever. What's his guy's name?
Beaver?
Chrisley. Leave it to Chrisley. Chrisley knows best. Chrisley's
oh, God, that guy.
up.
I forgot about that guy.
Yes.
Well, let's talk about Raw now that we've got this thing going set off here. You know, say what you will about Seth Rollins, but when he's on, pal.
He's on.
When he's on, he's on. And last night, he was on. I want to hear what you thought about this opening segment. Tell the people at home what happened, baby. Tell the people why it was so gripping.
Bronson Reed was walking to the arena when he got waylaid by the great Seth freaking Rollins, flying knee to the back or what have you. Just started beating the bejesus out of Bronson Reed and waylaid him, beat him up with his own suitcase. He grabbed his own suitcase and whacked him with it. And then he went to the ring, ripped off his sequins jacket somewhere between the parking lot and the ring, and the man at Bronson Reed come out. And naturally, Pierce, the security team, the agents backstage, they all come out. I think I even saw Hurricane Helms. They all came out and tried to separate the guys, and it was a big schmoz. Throwing each other around, throw the security guys around. Bronson Reed is just a beast. He's the world's smallest giant, and he just threw these guys all around the ring. I loved every bit of it. I love it when the show starts out with a hot opening. And you know Nitro used to do that. Nitro used to start out, WCW Nitro back in the late 90s, early 2000s, used to start out with action galore, a hot opening. All they needed was a guy saying, "This is the greatest night in the history of our sport."
No, we're not doing that. We're not doing that.
We'll do that for the Thursday show.
That shitty show. I'm not even talking about that shitty show today. I am not. I got enough.
Why are you so
that.
hateful, Don? Why are you so hateful? What have you got against the great Tony Schiavone?
I'm not talking about that shit. Him and Jim
man right now who's smoking his 36 Camel cigarette of the day. Right
I'm not getting into this.
Tony Schiavone. Wonder what happened to his life while his wife dyes his hair, while he sits on a kitchen chair outside on their patio.
It started off hot, like you said. Every time Bronson Reed is on my TV, I know it's just going to be pure mayhem. It's just going to be utter chaos. It's going to feel like a fight. It feels very Mid-South to me. And I'm not saying that as a discredit to them. Mid-South would have these segments where just utter chaos would break out, and you would have the refs and personnel and everybody else running out trying to separate the guys. I enjoyed every part of this opening segment. Bronson Reed, ever since the Seth Rollins and you're going to notice me moment, Bronson Reed is the guy. Like you cannot deny he's got something. Now, his in-ring work is getting better, but right now, just put him in this kind of shit, man, for the foreseeable future. I can't wait to watch his big ass in the Rumble.
A Pier 6 brawl.
Did you enjoy the number one contenders tournament match that continued for the tag team, which was
number
the New
one
Day and the Authors of Pain?
As Lillian said, the number one container ship match.
I did. Yes, that was all over the place.
The number one container ship match. Right away. Right away, a botch by Lillian Garcia. And she even admitted it online today. And she said, I was nervous. I was very nervous. After 8 years, I was very, very nervous. The number one container ship match. They should have a match on a container ship.
Well, before
you imagine Bronson Reed jumping off the containers on top of Seth Rollins.
Let me ask you something. Did you like the Liv Morgan Gonzo segment with Damage Control?
I did enjoy that. I did. It was unintentional comedy, I think.
It really was. I thought the same thing. Gonzo just stood over both of them like Godzilla.
They're shooting Gonzo like she's 7 feet tall. They really are. The camera's on the ground, facing up, while Damage Control's talking to Liv. Liv Morgan looked like the Undertaker standing in front of Damage Control.
Wait,
they must have had them in a hole.
We were watching it. My son looks over at me and he goes, did Liv Morgan grow? I said, no, she
Dude, I love the fact that they don't even speak English to her. Asuka would get a few words of English out. Asuka they could all speak English, but they're heavily accented. But that was just them barking in Japanese at those three people was just epic.
And Liv Morgan just going, I don't know. I know why you're so mad. I get it. You're mad because I'm perfect. Her laugh, you either are in one of two areas on her laugh. You either think it's the greatest thing she's ever done or it's cringy as hell and you hate it. I love the laugh. The laugh makes me laugh every time. My wife thinks it's the greatest thing she's ever come up with.
It's the greatest thing ever, pal.
So
I hear that laugh in my sleep. I'm not going to say why.
The Final Testament and New Day come out here. They start having a match.
I'm so tired of everybody that was in this match. I'm tired of all these people. Tired of them all.
It had one surprise area. The Wyatt Six returned.
Yes.
That
just
was
in time
about
for Halloween, Don. Just in time for Halloween.
You knew they were going to be back just in time for Halloween. That's going to happen.
Let's see. Check my watch. Abaddon incoming, AEW. That's the only time they put her on TV is when it's around Halloween. Abaddon, Living Dead Girl. But yes, the Wyatt Six. Did you know that the Wyatt Six, all those people in the Wyatt Six were handpicked by Bray Wyatt?
I didn't know that. I did hear that
brother
they wouldn't have a match with the Costco guy.
Yes. It was a hot dog on a pole match. $1.50 hot dog on a pole with the Costco guys. Of course they did. The Wyatt Six were handpicked by Bray Wyatt when he was putting the whole thing together before he passed away. His brother, Bo Dallas, said that in an interview recently. I thought that was pretty nominal there. Something to take note of. That he picked those guys. Dexter Lumis, of course, Eric Rowan, Nikki Cross, great Nikki Cross, Joe Gacy up from NXT.
The blonde guy. That's you just said him. That's
Dexter Lumis.
Dexter Lumis. He looks amazing, by the way, in this role.
He does. He's doing a lot more moves than what he was when he was a serial killer. Brother Fluff is in with $5. If Gonzo was Cena, she would say, Stu, why are you laying on the floor? Stu the cameraman, Don. That's
yes, I got it.
Yes, good friends with Cena. Stu, why are you laying on the floor?
What are you looking at down there?
Yes. I'm looking at you.
I thought that was great. Then we got the Damage Control versus Gonzo and Liv. You knew where this was going. There was no denying this. But you knew what was going to happen, though. You knew it was going to happen.
And they're elevating. Let me ask you this question. Is Jakara Jackson and Lash Legend, are they officially on the main roster now?
They're not there yet, but you can tell they're coming. You can tell they're going to be there any day now. Like, this is
they were on both shows. They were on SmackDown and they were on Raw.
They've got the look. They have a look about them.
They got the what?
Seen them wrestle.
They got the what?
Got the look. Okay, there we go. I want to see them.
Why do you have to take away everything I love?
Look, pal, I've had a day. Okay, I've had a day. We're going to talk wrestling.
You can't sing for your pal in the chat room?
I'm about half horse. What the hell are you sipping on?
You're about half horse?
Half horse. Lower half.
Aubrey Edwards. Aubrey Edwards is half horse.
Speaking of which, where's that t-shirt?
I'm drinking vodka and Orange Monster.
I can't.
Nice drink.
You today. Gonzo cut a pre-taped promo on this whole thing, which I thought was good. Jackson and Legend got into it with them during the match with the with Damage Control, which you could see that setting up.
Again.
I enjoyed that.
Again. Io Sky gets an elbow from Lash Legend again. That's the second week in a row.
I'm enjoying it. The crowd's reaction, I mean, Rhea Ripley came down at the end of this match. That's sort of where I was going with this, and began just tossing everybody around. She's she's a big girl. They're getting the face over. Every time Dom gets grabbed by her, the crowd is absolutely off its rocker, loving it. Dom has the most heat of any wrestler I can remember. Genuine heat, not go away heat, not why are you on my TV heat. Genuine, I hate this son of a bitch heat. I haven't seen it in 20 years. I can't tell you the last guy that got booed like this, man. It's
go
crazy.
Away heat. Go away heat. What's your take on go away heat?
Go away heat is when I change the channel. You've got heat with me. That's the wrong kind.
No, I mean,
I don't want to.
With a live crowd, what do you think is go away?
You
heat?
sit on your
when
hand.
they boo him when he comes out, and then whatever
No.
he does, they just don't even acknowledge it. They're just quiet.
Well, Chris Jericho was a prime example a few months ago on that pay-per-view when he came out. Right. Everybody went and took a piss or got popcorn. They don't want to see it. They don't want to be around it. That's what go away heat is. Jeff Jarrett in 1995 had go away heat with me on my TV. I didn't want to see him, and I changed the channel when he came on.
The Last Outlaw had go away heat with you?
I can't with you sometimes.
I like to see him on TV more often.
Which, by the way, after all this,
yes.
After all this, we still get the Seth Rollins moment where he's still fighting Bronson Reed. They're going at it for the third time.
It's just it never ends. It never ends.
Shit. And Pierce gets all pissed off. He's like, I was going to give you guys what you wanted, but you couldn't wait on it. So at Crown Jewel, you've got your match. And they're going crazy at each other. Bronson Reed, man, get the guy. I don't know. What would you call him? Would you call him the most improved wrestler of the year in WWE?
I would call him, no, not the most improved, but I would call him a wrestler that we never knew that we needed to see on screen. Because everything he's doing right now is gold. He had a meltdown 6 months ago on Twitter that he's not happy. That's all he said in his Twitter post. That a few hours later, I think he said he's still not happy. He was beyond mad. And because his matches got bumped from shows, from pay-per-views, and I guess he went back and talked to them and said, give me an opportunity. Give me an opportunity, and I'll make it worth your while. And, dude, he's made it worth our while. I love to see him now. I said he's not going to do anything because they're portraying him as a Godzilla-type character, a huge monster of a man. And he's 6 feet tall. He's 6 feet tall, and he's 4 feet wide. If he lays down, he's 7 feet tall.
He's as wide as he is tall. He's just a huge guy that can boogie in the ring.
And he's built like a power lifter. Yeah. He's built like a Mark Henry almost.
I do have an idea for us by the year, at the end of the year, for our show, Squared Circle Maniacs Podcast. Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe. Hit the notifications button. Hit the subscribe button. We are still trying to build the audience. We appreciate you guys and gals for checking us out. We hope you're having a good time tonight. But Bottles, we got to come up with something at the end of the year. I'm going to pause this Raw result real quick because I want to bring something up with you.
What's that?
End of the year, you and I are going to do our first ever Squared Circle Maniacs Podcast Wrestling Awards show. We're going to do this over the Christmas break. When they do all of their greatest of wrestling shows, there's not a whole lot to talk about. You and I are going to have this show, and you and I are going to come up with about 10 to 12 different categories on what we believe we should be talking about. I've been thinking about this for the past week or so. Want to see what you thought of that idea.
I love it. Let's do it.
Okay. Well, I've already given away my most improved wrestler, so you've got one on the books, pal. Anyway, next up was this number one contenders, LWO versus American Made. American Made's not doing it for me, buddy. It's not doing it for me. I don't know how you feel about it, but Chad Gable's lost all of his heat. This thing feels like a dead horse, and they're beating the shit out of it.
What could they be doing? Are they going to wrestle? Are they going to wrestle Otis and Tozawa again over and over and over and over? I'm at least glad that they wrestled Rey Mysterio and Dragon Lee, and Zelina was on the outside. When I saw Ivy Nile dressed to go, I figured, it's a three-way, it's a six-person match, mixed tag match.
I thought it was
that's
too.
not the case. Yeah, but that wasn't the case. It should have been, but it wasn't the case. But Zelina Vega, great in a managerial role, great in the ring, but she's very, very small. Ivy Nile is a beast. She's super strong for her size. Jacob Creed. That guy is when he was at NXT. All the veterans who went through NXT said he's the next big thing. He can do all the moves, as strong as he is. They're teaching these guys how to be humble, Don, by jobbing out, by actually losing matches and how the whole thing works on the main roster. And they're making the most money they ever made in their lives. They don't care. And they're doing something they love. But when they walk to the ring, you know something's going to happen. When Big Brutus is doing that gorilla walk up the steps into the ring, Brutus needs to work on his ring presence. He needs to be, he needs to emote more when he's in the ring. Jacob fires up. He does his tall Kurt Angle routine where he drops the straps, spins around, all that good stuff. I don't know, man. The Creed brothers have fallen off, but they'll come back. They'll come back.
It's
too good of a
team.
Too much talent.
There's no look, man. We've talked about this before. You can do all the moves, and that's great. If I cannot connect with you as a wrestling fan, I don't want to see you anymore. There's a lot of guys that can't do a lot of moves, but they connect with the audience. That's sort of where I am with these guys. Chad Gable was connecting with the audience when he was fighting his former, team. This shit here, none of this is connected. This just feels like they put him in a box and he can't get the hell out of it again. You did really well over here. Let's now shit on you some more.
This whole match.
And then Vince McMahon shows up and it's a whole other story.
Uh-oh. What it is we're gonna give Dragon Lee the rub. And Ray is gonna sort of pass the torch to Dragon Lee. They're gonna tag team a lot. And because Ray is on his retirement tour. So let's go ahead and give Ray and Dragon Lee some entertaining matches. And the Creed brothers can put on entertaining matches. And they sold for these guys beautifully. But when's the last time you heard the Creed brothers do a promo?
I can't. Well, just little snippets they do it here and there.
When Chad Gable asks them a question and they have a one-line response. That's it. That's all. They need to be featured backstage in more promos like they were in NXT, talking amongst themselves. They weren't the greatest on promos in NXT. Maybe they're working on the main roster. I don't know. But I know their strong suit is what they can do in the ring. But they should not be heels. They should be baby faces. All-American boys. There's going to be a shift soon, believe me.
Slam your grandma?
What?
Slam your grandma?
Slam my grandma? What's that mean?
Slam your grandma. Slam. You don't remember that? We talked about this? American Males. The song backwards was Slam Your Grandma.
Yeah. Yes.
And again, you want to talk about they're giving the rub to Rey Mysterio. You can't replicate that, man. You can put
Ray is giving the rub to other people.
I hear what you're saying. I'm saying you can't. I get that you're trying to give the rub. It's just not going to work, man. It's just not going to work. They've tried this a million times. You've got to find your way through this on your own. You've got to come out and be your own character. Rey Mysterio is literally one in not a million, but a billion. He is a freakishly small wrestler that made it to the biggest stage and has been a top star in the industry for over 20 years now. Went away for 5 or 6 years. Put him in the Hall of Fame, said his career was over with. And here he is again on his third rendition of a run. It's insane. You're never going to duplicate that, and you can't give enough rub for it. I'm sorry.
It's the miracles of stem cell medical technology.
HGH. There was also another part of this show that we're going to talk about here with Carlito, Carlito is very much on the way out of the Judgment Day. You can see that's coming, right? You can see the turn on him is coming. He's getting set up to all kinds of shit. He's the fixer or the whatever the hell he is.
They would never.
And he had a line last night where the Japanese girls walked away, and he said, "I need to learn Chinese."
An ad-lib throwaway line that they just
this was
scrapped
scripted.
All over.
This was scripted.
No. That was ad-lib.
Yeah, I'm reading it. No. I'm reading it right now. It was scripted. That's been the update.
Oh,
this was a scripted line.
Okay.
This wasn't something he ad-libbed.
Sure.
If you can't understand where they were going with this as far as the comedy, I don't know what to do. Everybody knows they're not Chinese. Everybody knows they're Japanese. It makes him once again come off as a dumbass. He thinks he's cool and he's an idiot. That was the entire point of the line.
Right.
And people losing their shit over it.
He's the Spicoli of the Judgment Day.
Yes, he is the idiot. He's the idiot.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what it's supposed to be. That's how it came off to me, as he is such a moron.
Buddy, if you take Carlito out of the Judgment Day, then you might as well change the name of the Judgment Day to the Lollipop Guild, because they're all 5.5 feet tall in the Judgment Day, and none of it's realistic. JD McDonough is a tag team champion, and he's just got his ass beaten in every single match for the better part of 2024. Just never won anything. You've got Liv Morgan, who's short. Finn Balor is he's no El Gigante, pal. He's right up there with Madonna. He just stands a little bit taller than Madonna. They can't get rid of Carlito. He would be the muscle for the group, unless you count Gonzo. Let her be the muscle for the group. Damian Priest is out. He already washed his hands, he said, of the Judgment Day. He did what he had to do. Gone. Now he's going after Gunther again.
Which I want to talk about that. So I want to cover Carlito because people are losing their minds of it. Get over yourself. It was a throwaway line. It was a joke.
Obviously these people haven't been exposed to a man named Don Rickles.
No shit.
All in the Family, or Sanford and Son, or Insult Humor, or Blazing Saddles, or what's that?
Bob Cosby with the drinks and stuff. Different.
Bill Cosby.
Yeah, Bill Cosby with the drinks.
Bob Cosby and Steve Diddy. Yeah, the comedy team was Diddy and Cosby.
Anyway, look, I say all this just say lighten up a little bit.
I left my drink on the table and now it tastes like copper.
Yeah. Lighten up a little bit. It was a throwaway line. Everybody knows that they're not Chinese. It's why it worked. Anyway. Gunther gets interviewed asking for him to come out on SmackDown by Cody Rhodes and what his response is to this.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care what anybody says. Gunther cracks me up. He said, why did he have to talk about his baby girl? You bring people in that don't need to be there. This is what you do. You're full of drama. It just cracked me up, man. Everything about it. Gunther is just growing on me more and more and more. When he was an IC champ, I was like, this is an ultimate middle card champion. And now he's grown even more. And I'm like, this guy is going to be the future WWE champion. He's going to be the guy on SmackDown, in my opinion. I really do think so. What did you think
Universal
about
champion? Universal champion.
Universal,
well,
whatever.
First, he's going to be the Crown Jewel champ. And he'll be the Crown Jewel champ, so if he loses the WWE title, he still has the Crown Jewel championship on his shoulder. He'll carry two belts for a while.
Two-belt Gunther.
Two-belt Gunther, yes.
I enjoyed this.
Not to mention King of the Ring also.
Easy.
King of the Ring.
Easy. Yeah, I mean, he's the ultimate.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, they stopped referring to him as King Gunther, which is, I guess it's because he won the championship, right? Like, that's sort of when you stop calling him that.
Mm-hmm. I guess. I don't know.
All right.
Field Marshal Gunther.
I'm not going there. Next up is my favorite wrestler in the business today that's a young star.
Jey Uso.
I told you. Day one-ish. It's just me, Oos, since day one-ish.
That's it. Of course.
No, I'm here to talk about Braun Breaker. Because that dude has got it all. Any dog's in the house and he starts barking and the crowd goes crazy, which, by the way, we talked about this last week. So give credit where it's due. Thank you, Philadelphia, for showing wrestling fans how to make some damn noise in the middle of a show. You guys were up for this whole show. I felt it through the TV. I felt like if I fast forwarded, I would miss something. Philadelphia, I tip my cap to all of you. Way to make it involved as a entertaining show. You're part of the show. Thank you for getting off your hands. San Francisco, take notes. Seattle, what the hell are you doing? Get off your hands, assholes. This match was great, and we're not big Jey Uso fans. This was the best match Jey Uso's had in a long time. That's before the Bloodline got involved. He was having a damn good match. Just my opinion. Well, and then it happened. Figured you might talk about it, but it happened. Out comes the Bloodline. They get involved. They start. It was absolutely 100% the high point of the show, and not because of the leader of the Bloodline, not because he got involved. His name's escaping me. Help me out.
Solo Sikoa.
Not because Solo got involved, but because Jacob and Braun Breaker got nose to nose. No one's thought of this. This hasn't been on anybody's mind. This hasn't been anything you've thought about. And then when you saw it, maybe it's just me, I went, holy shit, could we get that at WrestleMania? Could that be a thing this year? I want this now. I didn't think this was something I wanted. I want this now.
It's like the thumbnail says, it's the match we never knew we needed. But we need to see that match. Let them go for 20 minutes, 25 minutes on a PLE. It would be glorious.
I
Glorious.
say WrestleMania. I say
Yes.
Mania. That's where I want this to go. A Mania match is what I want to see with this. It was when they faced off, the whole crowd started chanting, "Holy shit." You could feel this aura coming through your TV that, we got two big bulls here about to go at it, and they're young, and they're hip, and they're cool. I said hip. I just told my age. They're hip, daddy-o. They're cool guys. You feel it. You got the badass heel against the other badass heel. This is drama. I loved everything about this.
Right. Exactly. Then just see the other two members of the bloodline when they try to interfere. Tongaloa and Tama Tonga. Tama Tonga jumped over the top. He jumped over the barricade doing the noise. He got clocked right in the face. And then Jey Uso laughed out loud, I believe, when he hit Tongaloa. And Tongaloa sold it like this. Fell over the barricade halfway. Didn't even make it all the way over. And Jey pulled him over the barricade laughing to himself. And they cut away real quick.
These guys would be great spokesmen for Laughing Clown Liquor. Like, that's what they are to me. They're the Laughing Clown Liquor advertisement waiting to happen.
Yes.
My God, have two guys ever not fit into a faction more than these two guys at this point in time? They do not fit in this at all. They just don't work. It's like you had the bloodline. Now with Scooby-Doo. I don't even know what else
Scooby-Doo. Now Scooby-Doo. They'll rip the mask off of Solo Sikoa. It will be Haku. Just like they did
almost got away with it
Scooby-Doo episode. Yes, almost got away with it. Oos, almost got away with it, Oos.
By the way, thank you all for watching. Please like and subscribe. We appreciate the support. The super chat is open if you've got something to talk about. Also, hit the subscription button, please.
Don, why did they take the belt from Jey?
Here we go, because here's the end.
They don't think Jay's worth it. They're not giving him a shot. They took the belt from Jey Uso. They took the belt from a man who does the same match all the time, the same moves all the time. He knows 4 moves in his life. Spit in your hand, punch a guy. Super kick, splash off the top rope. Yeet. Yeet, yeet.
Again, I want to talk about this
Dude.
because it ended with Braun Breaker winning the title. Did not see that coming. I don't know about you. I didn't see it coming on a Raw, which is also, I want to talk about that. You don't normally see titles change hands that are of major importance on the WWE television. You don't see that very often.
You see that a lot with the Intercontinental title. You see it a lot now.
I haven't noticed.
That's like their heavyweight title that's like a TV title that they swap out.
You're saying when it actually changes hands?
When it changes hands, yes.
How many times has it changed hands?
Jey Uso won that title.
Yes.
On Raw. Yes.
Again, but
Braun Breaker won the title on Raw.
Hold on. This is just these two guys. Other than that, it's been years since that's happened. That's why I'm saying it's kind of shocking. How am I wrong?
You're wrong.
Gunther had it for over a year. Gunther had it for over a year. Gunther had it over a year. Ding dong.
Tag team titles change.
They're not major titles. They're
yes,
not
they
major titles. No, for
pal, they're all major titles, except for the Speed Championship. How about the 24/7 title?
Again, I'm talking. Look, the tag team championships mean nothing in WWE. They mean less than nothing, in my opinion, because you don't have actual tag teams anymore defending the damn things. You've got 2 solo stars that they say, you guys go out there and put on a match. That's what you get now. The true days of the tag champions, it's been so long since we've had it in WWE. I can't remember the last one that I enjoyed watching. I really can't. Can you think of one? Go ahead and say New Day. I double dog dare you.
I hate the New Day. I would never say New Day. Can't stand the New Day. Good
the
Lord.
Last ones we had that were true champions were the same ones that had it for like 15 out of the past 23 years, it seems. Jimmy and Jey Uso. It seems like they had it forever because there was no one else to put it on other than the New Day. Yes, it is.
What about the Miz? R-Truth. They just had them.
Yeah, how fun was that?
They lost to the Judgment Day.
How fun was that?
It was about as much fun as a case of genital warts.
It was a, hey, R-Truth, you've been such a great sport. Here's a moment in the sun on WrestleMania. That's what it was. We all knew it when it happened. It wasn't anything major. They don't put enough emphasis on their tag team division, in my opinion. I'm sorry, but they don't. There was a time when I would watch Jim Crockett, and I loved the tag team matches because they kicked the shit out of each other, and you felt it.
Right. Rush of the Assassin #1 and #2 versus the Malkies.
See, now you're just being hateful.
Beer Man's happy the Malkies were mentioned.
Christy Hemme's going to show up at your house. I just want you to know
I hope so.
You don't want her showing up.
Between the hours of 9 and 5.
You don't want Christy Hemme showing up. That was Raw, as is Christy Hemme, from what I've heard. So do you want to talk about some news now? Because we got a couple of nuggets to put out there. Christy Hemme has joined TNA in a backstage role. She's back home where she belongs.
What?
Yep. That's what the streets are saying, is that she's back. So that's sort of one of those things that caught my eye, where it's like, wow, really? Who thought that was coming? I didn't. The other bit of news that's really huge, kids, get your ears on for this one. NXT will not be next Tuesday. Sorry, it will be next Tuesday. It's the Tuesday after that it will not be on. In 2 weeks, NXT is moving to Wednesday night.
Because of the election coverage on
Because
Tuesday
of the
night.
election. Yes, because it'll be wall-to-wall election coverage. So,
head-to-head.
We get head-to-head. And we need to figure out what we're going to watch that night. We need to have a head-to-head show-off on which show was better. Because I'm going to be honest, I'm not the biggest NXT fan. I get it. I like some of what they do. Obafemi I'm a huge star of that guy. He's a badass. The other guy that just got the championship belt back, I think he's got a future. Outside of that, I don't know a whole lot. And I can't even say that guy's name, and you just said a little while ago. He was with Carmelo Hayes.
Trick Williams.
Whoop that.
He's the heavyweight champ of NXT. Trick Williams, everybody.
So, I will be watching.
We'll
I'll be excited to see how the head-to-head goes down. Again, thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe. Hit that notifications button. Again, I'm not a fan of how WWE has done tag teams probably in the last 20 years. There was a time where they really mattered. The 80s, amazing. Some of the best you'll ever see. Right now, I don't know, man. I just don't know. Go ahead with your news and notes and your sundry of laundry.
Here's what I've got right now on the gentleman known as Luchasaurus, a.k.a. Killswitch.
Oh, yeah. I heard about him this morning.
Who is in really, really bad shape right now. He was hospitalized late last month after his fiancée found him collapsed on the kitchen floor of their home. He was rushed to the hospital where it was determined his oxygen level was lower than 80, which is a bad, bad thing. He had a case of the flu that turned into pneumonia. At the time, it was reported he would be able to resume training in about a month, but unfortunately, he suffered a severe setback in his recovery, and he may have permanent lung damage. He's not back in the gym. He will not be back in the gym for a long time. He's not going to be back wrestling for a long time. There were complications. He may have had a compromised immune system, as well as other factors, possibly sleep apnea, which affects big men with big necks. He ends up getting this flu, bad oxygen uptake, turned into pneumonia, high risk for a relapse. And the big concern after all of this, after running test after test after test, there may be permanent damage, and they found calcification in a heart valve, and his body's not producing iron.
Damn, man.
So he's got a whole bunch of tests he's got to take. Probably he's already taken them by now after this report was published by Brian Alvarez. It's bad enough that he's out of the hospital, though. He still has to be on an oxygen tank. Even day-to-day activities can leave him out of breath. He's not allowed to train or do anything because he's at a high risk for a relapse. Can't travel for 4 to 6 weeks. You got to see a specialist as soon as he can travel. It could be a career-ending issue.
That's sad, man. I'm sorry for Brontosaurus Rex. That's awful.
Not good at all. Not good at all.
So here's what I heard. You just dropped the whole knowledge dart on me. This is what I heard, was that he wouldn't be returning to the ring anytime soon. He recently went to the gym. He would not be returning to the gym anytime soon now either. That's as short as it was. So you just dropped a whole lot of knowledge on that, man. That's tough.
Yeah.
That's tough.
Not in good shape.
And apparently NXT is going to be in Philly in 2 weeks. So maybe that crowd will come back and reignite them. I can't wait to see it.
Don, at the Gramercy Theater in New York City, Fozzy put on a show in front of a packed house.
Shit.
I don't know if you've seen this or not, but we're going to play it for you right now. He's singing with Sebastian Bach, former lead singer of Skid Row.
Oh, did they kiss and make up?
Huh?
They kissed and made up?
Yes, apparently so. That's Sebastian Bach right in the middle where my cursor is bouncing around. That's enough of that crap. He's performing in front of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I count 10 people in this shot. Standing room only, Don. Standing room only. Look at that. Look at that.
Well, you know that they had he and Sebastian Bach got into it a few years ago on Twitter. They had a big melee brouhaha.
Big dust
They were
up.
talking shit about each other.
Big dust up, Don. AEW had Collision on the other night, on Saturday night.
That's what I heard. Did anybody else know it was there?
Another packed house. They got their big star, Ricochet. He's the king of Collision now. There he is. He had the Ospreay match, and that's all they needed him for. And now he's wrestling the Beast Mortos, or whoever. Rick Gibson. On Collision. You got to love it.
I got a couple other
How the mighty have
here.
fallen. What's that?
Penta, his deal was not extended. He's going to be a free agent soon. But they're
Sure.
still going to get Phoenix's contract extended because of his injury timeout. So they're still doing this. Dave Meltzer brought this up yet again to make sure everyone's aware that they're going to hold this over his head. And you and I talked about this the other day. The non-compete clause is officially supposed to be over with now for non-CEO and executives. So he's using the "you were injured" clause as the non-compete clause, it seems to me. That's just my opinion of what I'm seeing here.
Well, if you hired a guy and you contracted a guy and you're paying him $250,000 or $500,000 or whatever he's making per year, okay, to wrestle a certain time period, a certain amount of dates, and because he's hurt, he's injured, when he comes back, he's going to wrestle the rest of his dates and make up. So when WWE does it, it's bad. AEW does it, it's good. Now, if you're a WWE fan, you can flip-flop it. AEW bad, WWE good. I think Raymond Fenix is a good wrestler. He takes a lot of chances, a high flyer. When the Lucha Brothers come to WWE, they can put on, like Pablo the Real One says. For
I was going to say,
Thank you,
this.
Pablo.
Thank you very much.
Recently, WWE is building the tag team division on SmackDown. Motor City, Lucha Brothers, 2025, War Raiders on Raw, and DIY. I don't think the War Raiders will go to SmackDown to face
I hope
Motor
so.
City Machine Guns, but they're wasting their time on Raw. Who are they going to wrestle on Raw? Judgment Day?
Yes.
Rey Mysterio's faction, maybe?
Yes. Great tag team wrestling. Again, like, it's just, there's a couple of teams here and there, but there's just not enough, in my opinion, to have 2 damn belts. That's just my opinion. Flop them back and forth on Raw and SmackDown if you want to. Thank you again, Pablo, for the $4.99 super chat. That's just my opinion. I get it. Motor City Machine Guns, I like them. I've seen them before. I've been a big fan of theirs. Lucha Brothers, I got to see it first. I've got to see it first, in my opinion. Because if I'm going to get what I got in AEW, I don't want to see that. I just don't.
Moving on to the prospective members of the Bloodline. A student from Booker T's Reality of Wrestling School and Promotion in Texas, Zilla Fatu, is rumored to be coming to WWE. Booker T says he's going to do everything he can to facilitate his entrance into the WWE. That's Zilla on the left and Jacob on the right, as you well know.
Stop.
But Zilla's a big boy. Zilla's a big guy.
I've yet to see one of these guys that wasn't naturally big, just my opinion. I've yet to see one.
You got that
Something
right.
in the bloodline, pal. Get it? See what I did there?
Eating. It's something they're eating, pal. Something they're eating. And have you seen that Sting is still all elite?
Yeah, I
seen
heard
this?
he had re-signed like they're similar to a Legends deal or something along those lines.
Right. He'll put in appearances, probably publicity tours, and he'll also do, he'll get a cut of merchandising. They'll still sell the Sting shirts, the Sting masks, all that bullshit. So that's what we're looking at there. And something we have to talk about. From Fightful and from the Wrestling Observer. New Japan Pro Wrestling and AEW sources believe that it's likely that talent that worked Forbidden Door or co-promoted AEW shows in the future would have to make an agreement with AEW to not immediately go to the WWE. That has not been confirmed within the company, but that's the scuttlebutt that's going around right now.
Holy shit.
It's also known as the Stephanie Vacker clause.
Yes,
who famously did that.
Vacker clause.
Appeared at Forbidden Door. No one picked her up from the airport. She didn't know how to get to the arena. She made her way to the arena, a la CM Punk, at All In London that one time. And she wrestled Mercedes Moné. She said, "Okay, I've had enough of this," and she signed with WWE a week later.
I got to get the hell out of here.
Got to get the hell out of here. The great Stephanie Vacker. You've got to love it.
Pablo says the Legends deal at AEW is TK's will.
It's TK's will, exactly. Have you heard, Don, that the NXT that's going head-to-head with AEW on November 6th is going to be broadcast live from the 2300 ECW Arena in Philly?
That's what I was saying. It's going to be in Philly. I said that a little while ago.
It's sold out now. Can't get a ticket to this show.
How many people is that? It's not huge. It's not a huge building at all by any means. You'll probably never see that. Well, it might be under Wrestle.
I've got it somewhere here, Don. Don.
We'll have to talk about that again on Thursday.
I'm scrolling, Don.
Okay, I can see you scrolling your face off. There is one other piece of news I want to talk about real quick. Involving an AEW star that was spotted. Some people are saying it's 1,200-ish people, which is about what I thought. About 1,000 people they could put in there. If the fire code doesn't show up.
WrestleTix.
You know who was seen at backstage at Dynamite last week? Powerhouse
Jim
Hobbs.
Ross. Powerhouse Hobbs. Hobbs is back. Rumored to be.
And he's on his way.
To the Hurt Syndicate.
You think so?
I think so. They need a new star. They need a new star for the Hurt Syndicate. And we got some Hurt Syndicate news and this little preview I'm about to do of AEW Dynamite. This Wednesday from Salt Lake City, Utah. Home of the Mormons.
Yes, this is going to be perfect. I thought the same thing. Where the Utah Jazz went, where they don't play music.
Yes. Don, they're actually defending the ROH World Heavyweight Championship on an AEW Dynamite show, Don.
And it's the main event too, right?
And it looks like it's going to be the main event. Mark Briscoe versus Chris Jericho, the Learning Tree, in a Ring of Honor World Championship ladder war.
Ladder war, not even a ladder match.
Ladder war.
We're going to have a war with them, which is way different than a match.
Right. Jack Perry and the Young Bucks versus Daniel Garcia and Private Party. 6 men that no one cares about.
Sammy Guevara is back against
Shelton Benjamin.
Guess who's doing the JOB today, buddy?
I'll tell you one thing. I hope that Sammy Guevara lands a knee on Shelton Benjamin's head and he gets slapped and stretched right in the middle of the frickin' ring.
And Abdullah
he's going to hurt this man, and that man's going to retaliate.
He
and
is.
Sammy's going to get his ass beat. Queen Oblongata versus Camille, which is the way it should be. Which is the way it should be. You shouldn't see Mercedes Moné wrestle every week.
Why are we having this again? Mercedes Moné just beat her. Why are we still doing this?
Because Aminata punched Camille in the face the other night.
Got it.
Okay. And Camille sold it like she got shot in the jaw with a shotgun. Someone who's like 6.5 feet tall, selling for Queen Oblongata. House of Black's in action again, Don. They all look great.
They're back. Yes, I saw they are coming back again.
And we'll hear from Kyle Fletcher.
Well, thank God for that.
Can't wait to hear from Kyle Fletcher. Said no one ever.
I did want to talk about one last thing.
I hope you're buying this from AEWshop.com. The Aubrey Edwards T-shirt. It's in demand, Don.
My goodness, pal.
Look at that. It's in demand. And they dehorsified her face for this.
Do you know who's buying that shirt? I can tell you. A bunch of damn furries are buying that shirt.
300-pound virgins are buying this shirt.
No, furries. A bunch of furries.
They identify as cats and horses.
That's who's buying that damn shirt.
Oh, by the way, Mox. We're going to hear from
Hold
Mox, by the way.
I don't
The
care.
Moxley Plumbing Company will be cutting another meandering promo on this show.
Before we go, I just want to say I don't care who you vote for. Just vote. Just vote. Apparently, though, Jim Cornette is a complete jackass and can't stand it if you vote for anybody outside of his box of periphery. And I don't care who you vote for who you want. But this guy has gone over the edge as far as if he disagrees with you politically, you're now a piece of shit for life. You're a piece of shit forever. That's how he sees you. Neo Mox tag team partners in a plastic bag. That's 2-0.
Well, Don, they're trying to get this lucrative hefty sponsorship.
They're
for the
working
TV
on
show.
it.
They're working on it.
They're working on it.
Yes.
My comment to Jim Cornette this week was very passive. I said, man, you got to stop taking who people vote for so personally. Just let people vote for who they want. And I don't care who you vote for. I immediately got blocked for that comment because he can't even stand the thought that somebody else having an outside thought from his periphery. I don't get it.
It's borderline. It's bordering on psychopathy right now. It really is. It really is.
And I'll tell you who I'm voting for this year. Beer Man and Block Larry, they get my vote.
Red hot problems require ice cold beer.
Damn
we can't
right.
do it alone. That's their slogan. Vote Beer Man, Block Larry. You don't see him on the ticket, write him in.
I'm writing them in. That's who I'm going to write in. And I love it. You know who else is going to write them in if he could?
Until next week, Gordon Soley saying so long from the Sunshine State.